This is KCBS-LA. Michael Tuck and Ann Martin, Steve Rambo, and Jim Hill bring you Action News at 11.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks very much for joining us tonight.
We want to tell you right off the top that we felt a good sharp little jolt here, an earthquake, and when we know where it stood on the Richter scale and where it was centered, we'll have that for you. But right now, Mike, we're looking at our seismocam, and that's a pretty significant swing in the needle there.
It was a pretty good little jolt, but we think it was fairly close. It did not last long. We're trying to track down whether there was any damage, where it was, and just how big it was, and we hope to have that for you in just a few moments.
It just was literally 2 minutes ago.
Yes,
so
it was.
We will be back with more information on that when we have it. Our other top story tonight is the O.J. Simpson murder mystery, and that case has taken some surprising turns this evening. Action News has learned that O.J. Simpson and his ex-wife Nicole had a big fight on the same day that she and Ronald Goldman were murdered. Action News has also learned that Simpson's attorney is working on a deal with police for Simpson's surrender if he should be charged. That to avoid what the lawyer calls, and we quote, a media circus. Sources tell us the former football star talked to Nicole Brown's family today to work out funeral arrangements. And Simpson also talked with his two children for the first time since the murder of their mother and her 25-year-old companion. And there are more developments tonight in this tragic mystery. We'll go live right now to Drew Griffin in front of Simpson's Brentwood home. Drew.
And what we can tell you in all of this is that the police investigation into Nicole Simpson and Ronald Goldman's death is now circling completely around the man who was holed up in seclusion in this Brentwood home. Monday, police towed this white Ford Bronco from O.J. Simpson's home. It's believed to have been the car O.J. was driving Sunday. The Los Angeles Times is reporting in its Wednesday morning edition, bloodstains were found inside the car. The Times says as soon as detectives can match the blood in the car with blood at the crime scene, an arrest warrant will be issued. All cameras are pointed towards the two gates in and out of Simpson's mansion. It's because the next breaking development on this story could very well be O.J. Simpson leaving Brentwood to turn himself in.
Talk to us.
Howard Weitzman is Simpson's attorney. He came here briefly this morning. A source close to the investigation says Weitzman is talking to police about how the superstar will surrender if he is charged.
Missed it? Yeah. You missed it? Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah. The only official announcement on Tuesday from the Los Angeles police were details of the autopsies. Nicole Simpson and Ronald Goldman died of multiple sharp force injuries and stab wounds. But most of the details on the deaths is now a closely guarded police secret.
So as to not jeopardize our investigation.
That investigation is now focusing on O.J. Simpson and physical evidence left behind. 1. Sources say a bloody glove found at the crime scene matches the bloody glove found at O.J. Simpson's home. 2. Simpson's alibi of being on a flight to Chicago does not rule him out for the time of the murders. 3. In Chicago, police say they found blood and a broken glass in Simpson's hotel room. While the investigation goes on, Simpson has not been alone. For the second day, a stream of family, friends, and celebrities, including Jermaine Jackson, have come to this house to lend their support.
Anybody that knows OJ knows that this is totally innocent.
No one's telling us anything. You tell us something we don't know.
You don't know anything. That's what you ought to be telling everybody else. They ought to be looking for the real person out in the streets instead of wasting their time here.
You did say that O.J. did make some phone calls today. One phone call made to the mother of Nicole Brown Simpson. The other, Ann, as you said, was made to the two children that O.J. had with Nicole Simpson. Reportedly, O.J. said making that phone call was the toughest thing he's ever had to do in his life. Ann?
Hard to imagine what that must have been like. Thank you, Drew.
Meantime, what about the scene outside Nicole Simpson's home? Well, her neighbors have built a tribute to their friend outside that home. They've scattered flowers on the steps of her West L.A. condo near the spot where her body was found. More flowers were placed in the bushes where Ron Goldman was killed. And somebody left a note hanging on the gate. It says, and we're quoting here, "Nicole, the white light, the world's best mom. You gave your children so much love, it will carry them through 100 lives." Nicole Brown Simpson's family issued a statement tonight from their home in Dana Point, and it says, and I'm quoting here, "Her sense of caring and her nurturing spirit made her a most sensitive and adoring mother to her 2 children. The Brown family wishes to thank all who have contacted them with their kind words, deeds, and prayers." And tonight we're learning more about the man who was killed right beside Nicole Simpson. Ronald Goldman grew up in Buffalo Grove, Illinois, where he went to Adlai Stevenson High School. He graduated in 1986 and enrolled at Illinois State University. He then moved to California with his father, who was estranged from Ron's mother. She got the news of Ron's death earlier today at her home in St. Louis, and this is what she said afterward.
It's ripping me up inside to see my son the first time after all this time on TV like that. I can't deal with all the publicity and all that.
Rufo says authorities here in Los Angeles may have kept her out in the cold because she wasn't listed as next of kin. She says she will try to come to Los Angeles for her son's funeral.
And Mike, we're still learning about Ronald Goldman's life here in California. He came to the state looking for fame and dreaming of being a model. Joe Avalar is in the newsroom now with an exclusive look at Goldman's life. Joe.
Well, Ann, we know he was an aspiring model here in L.A. to find fame, and sadly, he may have found it in this gruesome murder.
Ron Goldman seemed on the brink of having everything. Channel 2 has obtained his resume video for modeling jobs. He hoped this tape of his posing in different outfits would land him lucrative jobs, and why not? He was young, good-looking, in great condition, and the man who made the video believed Goldman was very good at modeling. He made it with 3 other models for designer Robert Bowden.
And he was a very nice guy.
And when Goldman picked up the resume video, he brought Nicole Brown Simpson with him.
The last time that Ron came to my studio, he brought Nicole with him. I didn't know at the time that who it was, but he did introduce her to me.
Goldman's first big modeling job was here, showing off men's clothes for an ad in the Cheesecake Factory restaurant menu. Friends tell us he ate with Nicole Simpson in the Brentwood Gardens Mall often, but that they were just friends.
I wouldn't consider it a romantic relationship. I would think it'd be more like buddies, you know.
Ron Goldman in happier times, and seeking another way to further his career by appearing on the syndicated TV show Studs.
Ron, we start with you. Ron, according to ladies, who's most likely to take home a doggy bag, you or Anthony?
I eat a lot, so I never leave anything. So I'm gonna say Anthony.
Anthony?
It's awful to see such a young, vibrant man and know his sad fate.
All of his friends told us that Ron Goldman was a nice man, exactly the kind of person who would go out of his way to do a favor, like returning Nicole Simpson's sunglasses. Mike?
What a tragedy. Joe, thank you so much for that. Well, Action News has learned that Nicole Simpson's therapist was contacted by the LAPD. Now, this happened right after our Harvey Levin interviewed her on our 5 o'clock news tonight. We've also learned that O.J. and Nicole Simpson had a big fight the morning of her murder. Harvey joins us now with this exclusive story. Harvey?
Well, my sources tell me the couple had what one person called, quote, a huge blow-up the day she was murdered. Now, we don't know the nature of the argument, but we're told it was significant. Meanwhile, the LAPD will interview psychologist Susan Forward tomorrow at 9 a.m. Dr. Forward told me she pleaded with Nicole to cut off all contact with O.J., but Nicole just wouldn't listen.
Nicole Simpson, seen here in the background, was battered, stalked, and terrorized for years by O.J. Simpson. That's what she told her therapist, Dr. Susan Forward.
Did you fear for her life?
Yes, I did. Without question, I did.
Nicole had 2 sessions with Dr. Forward at Forward's Encino Therapy Clinic in 1992. At the time, Nicole was in the throes of her divorce from O.J. Nicole's lawyer had read Dr. Forward's book, Men Who Hate Women and the Women Who Love Them. Forward says the lawyer felt the book was a mirror of Nicole's relationship with O.J.
She was a classic battered wife in the sense that she was both afraid and unwilling to take the steps that she needed to take to really let him know that the relationship was totally over.
How severe were the beatings?
From her description, they were very severe. There were, you know, with fists and I think frequently on her face as well.
Did he ever threaten her life?
Yeah. Repeatedly. He would say to her things like, if I can't have you, nobody can. To the best of my recollection, she told me of several incidents where he said, you know, I'm going to kill you. If I can't have you, I'm going to kill you.
In 1989, O.J. pleaded no contest to spousal battery. He was placed on 2 years probation and ordered to perform community service. But Dr. Forward says Nicole told her, as the marriage began unraveling, O.J. again lost control.
He was obsessed with her. He just wasn't willing to let go. He wanted that woman, and he wanted her back. She could see him, loitering outside the house, looking in the window. He would show up at restaurants or bars where she would be. She had no idea how he knew she was going to be there, make a terrible scene. He was constantly accusing her of seeing other men.
You had a patient-therapist relationship with her. Why are you talking about that now?
Because, well, first of all, because she's dead, the privilege is obviously not in force. But secondly, I don't know who killed Nicole, but I do know that Nicole lived in a climate of fear and violence, and there are a lot of women living that way, and they've got to get out.
Though O.J. and Nicole Simpson argued the day of her murder, we've also learned just last month the two vacationed in Mexico together, and observers say they had a very good time. Now, O.J. Simpson's attorney, Howard Weitzman, told me any troubles the couple had were resolved long before Nicole's death. Mike and Ann.
So many contradictions in the whole story.
Indeed.
Yeah, there are. Thank you very much. Interesting interview with Dr. Forward. And here's what we have to look for next in this ongoing murder investigation. Police are waiting now for test results comparing bloodstains found at O.J. Simpson's house with blood types of the two victims and with O.J. Simpson himself. The LA Times quotes police sources as saying an arrest could be made in the next few days. Ron Goldman's family members will break their silence on the case in a news conference tomorrow morning. And we have more now on that earthquake that hit just before 11 o'clock. We've had calls coming in from the San Fernando Valley area, from Studio City, Tarzana Hills, and from Santa Clarita. And seismologists at Caltech are telling this had a preliminary magnitude of 3.6. And the quake was centered 3 miles east-northeast of San Fernando. And we'll show you again how it looked on the seismocam here at Channel 2. It felt like a pretty big jolt here and really swung that needle. So far, no reports of damage or injuries. Look at the needle swinging there, Mike. That's quite something. And usually with a magnitude 3, you don't get damage or injuries.
Yeah, probably not. We felt it sitting here in Hollywood, a quick but quite a sharp jolt.
It's about 5 seconds. Boom. Yeah.
LA City Council flexes its muscle, and just ahead, the mayor declares an impasse in the bitter talks with the LAPD. Will Jack Nicholson's newest film have audiences crying wolf? David Sheehan will tell us about that. And an American music legend dies of cancer. We'll look back and listen in on the life of the great Henry Mancini.
This Sunday, Colombia will play Germany, while Italy challenges Brazil, and South Korea takes on the U.S. Not in America's stadiums, but in America's parks and playgrounds. It's something that happens every weekend as people who have come here from around the world gather to celebrate their love of soccer. To salute them, MCI is offering $50 worth of free calls to any nation where soccer is played. Join MCI and friends around the world anytime and share your passion for the game that brings us all together.
Lincoln Mark 8's revolutionary suspension automatically lowers the car at highway speeds for better handling and less wind resistance.